Hello, it's June and it's time for another Quilters challenge. This month our challenge is coming from Future Cat. Take it
Kia
away.
ora e hoa ma. Hello friends, I'm Future Cat from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I have a challenge for you. It's June, which means it's Pride Month, and that's a pretty important time of year for me because I'm a trans non-binary person. I also really like working with scraps. So my challenge to you is to create a scrappy rainbow. Have fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you create. Ka kite anō.
Scrappy rainbow. Now this is kind of my jam. I always seem to default to a rainbow colorway. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because that way I don't have to pick a single color. I don't know. But I do have all of my scraps picked out here. I had this bag full of strips that somebody had given to me, so I just picked out some rainbow ones. If you're new here, I'm Sam Alberts, this is Quilting Curve Studio, and I'm actually a long arm quilter. So when I approach these challenges, I like to think about my long arm and how I can incorporate that into the challenge, because that's kind of my lane. So what I'm gonna do is some layered quilting or some reverse applique. I'm going to take all of these beautiful rainbow fabrics, piece them into one larger piece of fabric. Then I'm going to layer this black piece on top of it on my long arm. I'm gonna quilt it and I'm gonna cut some pieces away and show you this amazing reveal. So that's how we're gonna long arm quilt this. But this reverse applique layered quilting technique can totally be done on a domestic machine too. Just make sure you don't have too many layers. Originally, when I was planning to do this, I had like 8 layers planned, but realized that was just absolute insanity. So let's go piece these together. So as I'm piecing these strips together, I am making sure to go one way and then the other way so things stay a little bit straighter. It's not terribly important because the way I'm going to use this piece of fabric, but I am doing it. Also, I want to point out that these are scraps, so some of the strips are a little thicker than others, but they're roughly about 2.5 inches. Okay, so I've pressed my piece of fabric and here it is. This measures about 22 by 36. And it's, in my opinion, a perfect rainbow. I love this, I think it's great. Now, I've got my design drawn on this black piece of fabric here. You'll see it when we get down to the machine. So let's go mount this up and let's go stitch. Okay, so here I am in the studio. I've got all of my layers of fabric all mounted up. And now I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna quilt. I'm kind of excited about this. Let's go down to the machine. Here it is. This is what I've drawn. It's an anglerfish, sort of. It's a cartoon anglerfish. So I'm really hoping this is gonna come out. And I'm going to, see, I've got the red that kind of goes all the way out here. So I'm gonna be doing more than one little fish. I think I'm gonna do like a whole school of little fish kind of escaping. And then the colors, you can see them along the bottom here, go all the way to the end of the tail here. So I'm gonna get this black thread on here and let's go stitch. Okay, I'm gonna start by stitching along all of the marked lines of the anglerfish. I only stitch a single line of quilting along each line, but if I ever did this again, I would do a double line just to hold the fabric in place a little better. I'm gonna break thread a lot as I stitch so I can get all of the details into the fish. I'm using Glide 40 weight thread in black, so you won't see any of these stitches when I start to cut the fabric away. To draw this fish out on the fabric, I used an old school projector that I had from God knows where. But last year, I did a whole series of videos about ghost quilting, and the first video goes over a couple of other ways you can use to transfer shapes onto fabric. So if you want to know more, you can check that video and series out on my channel. And make sure you're subscribed so you can watch more quilting videos. There are timestamps in my videos so you can skip to the next chapter if you like. Onward with the time lapse. Okay, so if you're new here, you might know that my scissor game has not been strong in the past, but I did get these ones for Christmas, so these are gonna work really well. But the smallest scissors I could find were just these little guys. So we're just gonna have to do with what we got and hope for the best. So I'm gonna start cutting this away. Enjoy the time lapse. I started cutting the fabric away while the fish was still mounted on my long arm. And as you can see, I actually added a layer of blue fabric to the fish too. So the details would be rainbow, but it wouldn't be too wild. As I was cutting away the fabric, I realized very quickly that this is going to take a lot longer than I thought, and that I should have gotten some other scissors. But there's no quilt shop in my town. Heads up, if there is anyone out there looking for a good place to open a quilt shop in British Columbia, this may be your place. Anyhow, I did end up taking the fish off the long arm, and it still took hours to cut the fabric away. Okay, so here is my fish, my angler fish. I think it turned out really cool. I really like the colors here, the rainbow effect that I was able to achieve with this reverse applique layered quilting technique. I did find it pretty difficult cutting out those little spots, and I made a couple little mistakes. I'm really happy that you didn't have to sit through that massive time lapse. It took way longer than I thought it was going to as well. And I know that I didn't have the right scissors for the job, but you gotta do with what you got, you know? But I'm not done yet. I'm gonna put this back on the long arm and add some more quilting to this and see if I can fix a couple of those little mistakes. Okay, you can see here that I accidentally cut too close to the stitch line and pulled all the fabric away. To fix that, I'm going to put another piece of black fabric over top and stitch it down and then just cut it away again. I stitched around the dot twice this time and definitely noticed a difference. As I said, I would stitch 2 lines next time I did this. After I fixed my mistakes, I decided to stitch the background of the fish. I was planning to do some ghost quilting and add in some extra fish, but I quickly realized this was going to be a waste of time. With the black on black, it just was not going to show up. So I decided to just fill in the entire background with the pebble pop filler. When it came to the body of the fish, I decided to keep it pretty simple again. I first had to stitch out some fish legs because otherwise my fish would look even weirder than he already does. And then I just bumped around with this organic clamshell filler to look like fish scales. So here is my fish. If you want to, I haven't figured out what to name him yet. So if you have a good idea, could you drop it in the comments for me? I just want to say a huge thank you to Future Cat for issuing this challenge. I think rainbow was clearly a good choice for this month. And I think that my rainbow's pretty on point, eh? Make sure to check out all the other YouTubers who are participating in this challenge. I hope you feel inspired to do some reverse applique or layered quilting. Thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see what the challenge is for next month, so I'll see you then. Bye for now.